It's just another sad love song in my brain like crazy. Yes, my soul. You know that song. We love it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl, the Plush Mommy. I'm Plush and I'm a mommy. That is why I have that name. And we're going to do a get ready with me. Yeah. I have a really great day planned for the boyfriend and I want to surprise him, so I'm going to look beautiful and things. And while I look beautiful in things, I'm going to talk about, I don't know. I'm going to talk about co-parenting. Yes, that's what I'm going to talk about. So I already started with my eyebrows, and we're going to start with this Morphe palette. It's the Artistry palette. It's old as hell. But I think I'm going to do this palette. I think I want to do a green eyeshadow today. I might not do green eyeshadow. Actually, no. You know what? We're going to do something with the something. Anyway, before we get started, I will not take no for an answer. Go ahead and do me a favor right down there. Go ahead, click that subscribe button, and then go ahead and click the little bell right next to it. You get notified of my next video. You want to do that for me. I love it. So let's get ready to rumble. In my earlier videos, I had told y'all that I was married before. Now, I was married for 5 years to a man that I met in college. Now, I just want to give you guys a heads up. I will not be the bitter baby mama on these people's internets. I'm not going to be on here telling you about how terrible he is or anything like that. That's just not my steez, okay? I'm priming my eyes right now with Makeup Forever base eye and lip primer. This is what I'm using. It's super dirty. But I'm using the Makeup Forever base eye and lip primer. Yeah, I'm going to be using Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer, super coverage, in the color Butterscotch for the rest of my eyes, okay? So I had already done my eyebrows, so I really just have to do the rest of the lid, and then we're gonna get started with the color. You know, your girl's been married before. I was married for 5 years, and if you have not been on this channel, you should already know I have a beautiful 7-year-old daughter. I call her Beans, and she is the light of our lives. We love her to flipping pieces. Now, I am actually the part-time parent in my household, which is a very unorthodox way of parenting. A lot of people usually have the daughter or the child with the mom, and then the dad has, like, you know, the weekend set up, and then the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or the weekend type of thing. I actually ended up not having that set up for a myriad of reasons. And no, not drugs or anything terrible. It really was just that me being a business owner and traveling at the time, me being a business owner, traveling, all that other stuff, it just kind of created too much of a havoc for her, and I wanted her to have a little bit more stability. So I figured that it would be better for her to be with her dad, and so I moved it that way. So that's kind of where we were with that. I switched brushes to this BS Small. I don't even know where this brush came from. It's an old brush that I had. So I switched to this brush, a bigger blending brush, to get on the crease and the corner. Yeah. You see it, though. All right, we seeing something now. We're seeing some movements. We have been actively co-parenting. It has been a feat within itself. As a part-time parent, I've learned a lot of things. I have learned that it is a lot easier, first of all, to do things the way that works for your family. It is also a lot easier to not let other people get into your business. The same rules that applied when you were married, where you don't let people into your marriage, you don't let people into your dating life, and you don't tell people what's going on with your relationships. I always believe that same rule applies for everything, including co-parenting, because it is incredibly difficult to navigate that, and also and not make unnecessary like judgments, mistakes, things like that with your partner. Something I've learned is that you always have to be mindful of that other person's feelings, and you also have to be mindful that that person is going to be a part of your life, and that person is going to be a part of your situation with that kid for the rest of your life. Like, I don't care who you date, who you remarry, whatever, like at the end of the day, because you have this child with this person, you are essentially stuck with this person for the rest of your dying days. And I don't want to scare anybody with that, but it's really true. Like, you have to come to some kind of agreement. You have to come to some kind of, understanding with one another really early, because if you don't, it's just going to be so much more difficult. And it's a lot less time that you're going to be spending with that child, because you don't want to deal with the aggravations of the other person. Now, it's so much easier to say this and than to do this. Trust me, I understand. Because oftentimes, the reason why co-parenting really doesn't work, this is like the most obvious statement I'll ever make. The only reason people suck at co-parenting is because they still have these hurt feelings. They're mad about like the personal stuff, and so they're sitting there like mad about personal stuff. So they're gonna sit up there and hold on to the personal stuff that they're mad at, and they're going to be over there holding on to that foolishness, expecting you to care, and it's not your job to care anymore. And so then the kid kind of gets put into the fray a little bit because of that. Now, I'm now going to go back. I'm going to use this M330 brush. We're going to try this brush again. This brush is actually a little bristly. I don't know. I'm going to use this for the darker colors for the crease. So we're going to move into this darker green right here, into the crease. Oftentimes when you hear co-parenting, oh, she's just mad because I won't, this, blah, 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 so she won't let me see my kids. Almost all the time you talk to these men, you always hear like, she's just mad that I won't X, Y, and Z, and therefore she won't let me see my kids, And I feel bad, because oftentimes it might actually be true. It might actually be true. Like, it might actually be true that she really is that mad and she won't let you see your kids. Pride really is something that, like, you don't want to let happen. I don't really think that these women are not letting these men see their kids. I genuinely don't. Here's the reason why. I have been in a situation myself. My ex-husband was out of his mind, and he was trying his damnedest to make it as difficult as possible for me to be able to have access to my daughter. And he admits to it. He admits to it being, just awful, to a point where there was a court order in place. Like, I could not actually physically see her, and I wasn't able and allowed to see her. And it was very annoying, and it was very frustrating, and I was very angry because it wasn't her fault. You know what I mean? She had nothing to do with our beef. She had nothing to do with our fight. This wasn't her fight to have, but for whatever reason, he brought her into it, and that's how we got here. And that's where we are. And under those circumstances, then I understand. Every other time we were running into the issues of seeing her and getting schedules and stuff like that, hell or high water, I'm coming for my child. When the women have a lot of the control, now that I'm looking back, like, I do see situations where women will just not show up for they have the drop-off time. They have their setup for drop-off or pick-up, and then, all of a sudden, she don't show up, and you're like, what the fuck? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. You have those types of things. You have issues of the woman just feeling some type of way because you're going to be bringing the child around a new girlfriend, and that feeling of being replaced kind of starts creating some resentment, and so we have those issues. And there's so many different scenarios that we can go through. I'll say this much. I really genuinely think that we don't hold these women accountable enough for using this system to their advantage, to the point where it makes these men look like they're deadbeats. I'm not gonna put myself on this camera and lie and act like there ain't dads out here who are absolutely the deadest of beatest They don't get it. They act like everything else is everyone else's fault. They don't take any accountability. Yeah. I'm going to take this flat eyeshadow brush and I'm going to dip it right here. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap. And I'm going to do it on the lid of my eye right here, so that we can get it popping. Okay. There are women who are absolutely doing everything in their power to make it so difficult for these men to be really good and active fathers in their children's lives. 100%. These women have an agenda to settle. These women want to prove a point. They want to show that they are the only ones providing for this kid. They wanted the happy family. Their bubble got burst, so they're in their feelings about it. I've seen several situations where the dad is doing everything in his power to be available to his kids, and he shows up every time he's supposed to. He calls every day. He makes sure to keep up. He buys whatever he needs to buy on top of providing, the child support, whatever. And the moment his financial situation falls by the wayside, the moment he is not able to give or is not able to be available financially, he is immediately pegged as deadbeat and terrible and not good and blah, 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 blah. And it's all sorts of unnecessary nonsense. And in my mind, I'm just like, all right, so we're going to do this bright. I like this pretty green. So I'm going to try this little pretty green over here. We're going to do this one here with the same brush and do that. So yeah, I like that gradient. So I'm going to keep that. I use words like gradient so I can sound like I know what I'm doing. Whoopsies. I 100% absolutely, I have seen it. I've seen it in my own family. I've seen it with my own friends. I've seen it so many times with so many different people where she's mad that it didn't work out in the way she wants to. And the first thing she does is she stops the kid from having access to her father. It's annoying. And I think it's sad. I think it's absolutely sad. And I genuinely believe that these women definitely should be held accountable for that. On the same token, I've also seen where, these men just kind of give up. They don't want to deal with the attitude. They don't want to deal with whatever. And they just give up. They just say, you know what, I don't care. Or they act like, these women aren't tired and they're not working their butts off and they're not doing all this stuff. And they're just like, she has the nerve to ask me to go get this. And I already did this. And why is she asking for this? And it's just like, they don't seem to understand like the day-to-day needs of their own kids. Like they don't really get what's going on. And I think we as a people and just the human race, when it comes to this co-parenting setup, like we gotta let this stuff go. These kids are expensive. Like there's nothing you can do. Little Timmy has basketball, they got swim. Then on top of that, now, they got all these activities that they're in, and you can keep them out of activities to save money. But at the end of the day, like no, why would you do that? You see what I'm saying? So like you gotta do what you have to do to take care of your kids. I think I want to do a darker green in the crease just to kind of give it a little bit of smoke action. You know what I'm saying? You want to... I'm going to go back to that same brush that I had for the crease, the M330 Morphe. And I'm going to dip, baby, dip into this one here. Just a little bit of dips. All right. Tap that out and see what we're working with. That was a little disappointing. Darkness in the crease. There we go. I feel better. Here's the thing. Tips to effectively co-parent with your ex-significant other. Keep the kids first and keep the conversations about kids. For as long as you do not engage, especially with somebody who is a difficult significant other, I'm not gonna lie, they are awful. When it comes to someone who is extremely difficult, this person is always going to be upset about whatever. This person is always going to come with the foolishness. You already know that this person is going to be very cantankerous. You know this. You know who this person is. You know this person's argumentative. But your sole goal is to get to this kid. That's it. Your goal is to get to your child. We don't have time for arguments. We don't have time for the shenanigans. Your goal is to get to your child. So that's the first thing. Like, the first rule of thumb is do not engage. We don't negotiate with terrorists, okay? So if they're going to sit up there and they're going to say, well, you can't see her until you do X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. All right, do X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. Okay? If you don't feel like, if you're feeling like she's just being ridiculous, okay, so be it. Now, if you know that they're just trying to muscle you for money, or you know that they're just trying to be unnecessary or whatever, then you have to take that stand on your own. But also keep in mind what the number one goal is: these kids. The other thing that I would say, you have to understand, like, there is no reason to react. You are more in control of your reactions and your brain and your thought process than anyone else. So don't let anybody, like, get you out of character. Don't let anybody get you out of character. When you know this person is going to act like this, why do you constantly have to react, and why do you have to constantly argue? That arguing, especially in front of these children, like, do not do that. Like, it's unnecessary. I'm going to use the Hydro Milk Primer. This right here, life. That's something, that was the advice that was given to me by one of my best friends. You already know he's going to say and do all the things that, like, get under your skin. So why are you fighting? Why are you arguing with this person? Why are you feeling the need to, like, make it known that you're mad or whatever? Like, this, they know that that's what they're trying to do. You know that their goal is to get you out of character. Do not let them get you out of character. Men and women both. I'm talking both of y'all. They're trying to, like, basically build a case against you. They're trying to basically tell everybody, you see, that's what he do. That's how he is. The other thing about the co-parenting is, like, these unrealistic expectations. But at the end of the day, you still have to handle communication. Communicate with respect at all times. There's no need to call anybody out their name. I put the Laura Mercier translucent medium deep powder on my skin after I did the primer, just so I can have more of a mattified look, because I live in sunny South Florida and it's hot, honey. And I am now going to use Fenty Pro Filter Soft Matte Longwear Foundation in the color of 410. That is my shade. For the people who are, really upset with, like, their you got this difficult, you have a very difficult partner, and you really don't understand, like, why it is, like, everything is a fight, everything gets into whatever. Like, you really just kind of have to just be like, all right, whatever. So you're just going to do this? So you're just going to do this? Yeah, I guess so. So is the kid ready, or? Okay. And it's going to get them angrier and angrier, but the more they see that they can't get to you, the more they're going to keep trying. That's real. The more they see they can't get to you, the more they're going to keep trying. And the more you have to keep ignoring. Until they get you got to let them tire themselves out. Because at the end of the day, you got to let these kids figure it out themselves, that their parent is doing that. This is not my way of saying, like, oh, we're doing so great. Child, we got into an argument, 3 days ago? Like, this is ongoing. If you think you're going to not argue with this person, what were you in that relationship doing? Like, how did you think the relationship ended? You're going to have arguments. You're going to have a lot of them. And it's going to be frustrating. They're going to get on your nerves. I'm going to do highlight with my Born This Way Too Faced Butterscotch Concealer. Like, the thing is, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get this fairy tale magic, beautiful experience. Sometimes, unfortunately, you're going to be met with a lot of resentment. You're going to be met with a lot of unnecessary attitudes. You're going to be met with a lot of arguing about nothing. And all of this is just so much easier if you just didn't, have to deal with this person, and you just be over here wanting them to just up and die. But you know that these kids need them, and these kids just happen to love them, so you just have to, like, deal. All you want is some peace, And you can't get no peace, because these aren't peaceful people that you're dealing with. But I'll say this, gentlemen, I know whatever it is about you not being able to get access to your kids, find a freaking court and get access to those kids. Court orders help you get access to your children. And I know the system is rigged and all that other stuff, but when I tell you it is going to be an uphill battle, if those kids are worth it, then you're going to fight that battle. Period. End of story. For the ladies, if you are in that situation, and there's a lot of us who are, because I didn't realize that there were a lot of women out here who quite literally are dealing with some very angry, bitter baby mama men, and you might also have to come to terms with that. Get them kids. Go into them courts and get those children, okay? It isn't okay. It isn't okay to use kids as pawns. For the people who are dealing with co-parents who aren't providing any help and you feel resentful because you got to pay for everything yourself and it's just not fair, and these kids just over here loving them, and the kids are just loving them and they're getting away with murder while you got to do all this other stuff. I get it. I understand that. Like, you have all this money that you're putting into it, and this parent gets to be the fun parent while you got to sit here and be the not fun parent and pay for everything. It's not your fight. When the money comes, the money will come. If the money isn't coming and the money isn't coming and the money isn't coming and they have the money and they're still not paying, but they're showing up whenever they feel like it and they're not really being present, find a court. Now, if you can't get the conversation, because I always tell people, have the conversation first. Have the conversation first, and if all it is just a bunch of excuses, then yeah, a court will be the only way to go about it. But I really don't believe in putting people on child support. I would never sit there and say like, oh, well, just put them on child support and then it's just all going to magically work. No, because now what you've done is kind of kept them from being financially stable ever. Because the way child support works, it's like they take money from you for not having any money. And then they'll take the money out of the checks, and they'll take the money out of all these things. And the money that they're taking from child support, you're now putting these men on child support for what? Because child support barely pays a bill. Child support barely pays one of the bills for your child alone. Like, I looked at how much the child support takes out, and I'm just sitting here wondering, like, so what is you really going through? Like, what are you really doing to yourself? You see what I'm saying? Like, what was this point for? Because now you have a better chance of having the partner pay half of everything that the kid needs than you needing child support. I'm using the Fenty setting powder in honey to set my concealer under my eye. And I'm not a long-term baker just because I am not trying to be super yellow, because I have had issues with being hella yellow. So I'm just gonna get this stuff in and out and ready to go. When you're trying to co-parent and you're trying to get these dudes to listen to you, you're not Superwoman. Like, you're not Superwoman. Stop it. Like, don't do it all yourself just because whatever. You can't do it all yourself, sis. Like, it is what it is. So when you're dealing with like these kids and like the issues of them not seeing their parents, stuff like that, yeah, having to explain, yo, this is why so-and-so is kind of failing you right now, blah, blah, is not fun. I am going to use the light to medium True Complexion Contour Palette by Black Radiance. And I'm going to try this one out because the other one was a little too dark. So I'm trying this one out. I'll say this. When you keep the kids first, it gets a lot easier. When you go and you just don't acknowledge, you don't engage, you don't get into the arguments after a while, you start realizing it gets a lot easier because you're not here for the shenanigans. And I mean that with all of my heart. It takes a long time. I am here in 2020 telling you this, and I know me 3 years ago would have been like, sis, shut up, because it's not possible. People were just trying to tell me how to do this and how to do that, and I was just like, you don't know the evil that I am dealing with. As a part-time parent and a woman, a female part-time parent at that, I have learned that it is really hard out here for these men to maintain their, relationships with their children. It is, because women really do have a score to settle, and they really do hold on to things in a way that is unhealthy for these children. 100% agree. But I also know I still have a great relationship with my child because I don't make excuses. And that is simple as that. Now, effective co-parenting, you got to set up a schedule, stick to that schedule. Do not let anyone or anything get in the way of your scheduling. That's something that I had to learn for myself. All right, so I'm gonna take this dark deepest mineralized skin finish, and I'm going to wipe away the excess, and we have creasing. I love Fenty Coconutty bronzer, and I use a little bit of it, just a smidge, you know, right up here, just to get myself a little color, you know, just to give me the dimensions, honey. Tell the people what happened here. I did also learn over time to also not allow my personal issues with my ex-husband to get in the way of the relationship with my daughter. I never talked bad about him in front of her. Never, ever. Not about him or his lady, neither of them. I never did, because it's not her fight. And again, these kids will ask later, and they will find out. And when they find out, when they ask later, that's when they'll know the truth. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Like, I'm gonna let my daughter figure that stuff out on her own, figure out the type of man he was, what type of mistakes he made. But what I don't want is for her to see him now that way, and that kind of shape her view of him as she gets older. I'd rather her kind of see, as she becomes an adult, and understand that people are nuanced and are human, and they make mistakes. I want her to then grow up and see, yeah, my dad's a human, he made mistakes, and this is who he is, and he wasn't the best at this, but he's still my dad, and he was still a good dad, and that's all that matters. That's what I want from her, because that's what I did from my own father when I got older and I found out all the things I found out. That's kind of how, to me, it should be. I'm going to use the highlight from the same light to medium True Complexion contour palette, and I'm going to highlight to the gods. I also think we need to do better at just setting schedules. I know this much. If you set a schedule, stick to it, make no excuses, and do what you can. You're not going to be dealing with somebody who's very compromising. Then if you don't have someone who's a good compromiser, then find another way, and getting them available to, finding the schedule that works, that you know that you won't have to make a lot of adjustments to. Oh, I used the Red Vino Baked Powder Blush from Milani. All right, so now we're going to do eyes. Jesus wept. I think we have to understand that, this is a growing process, and it's a lot of change too. But again, it all depends on who you are as a person and what works for you. Because all of this advice I'm giving you may not work for you. But I know this is what worked for me. I'm using the Fenty Beauty Fly Liner liquid eyeliner because it is fly, child. Woo, love it. The biggest frustration that I've always seen a lot of people have when it comes to the co-parenting is literally just, it really is just the communication. And I'll attest to this. It'll be so triggering when they disappoint you, the exact same way that they disappointed you in the relationship. Now here's my thing. This person isn't going to be good at remembering dates, good at being available, then don't rely on them for those types of things. I'm going to use the Colossal Volume Express Maybelline mascara. Honestly, the best thing ever. All right, so these are the Lash Couture Faux Mint Collection Kiss lashes, and I got them in CVS. Because I'm still very new to the world of lashes, I don't want to invest yet in lashes, So I'm still practicing, and because I'm still practicing, I would like to do my lashes this way. For me, it really is a matter of understanding that this person is not going to be the same person you married or dated. This is not the same person that you fell in love with. This is a different person. There is no reason for you to sit up here expecting this person to care about you and worry about you in the exact same way that they used to care about your feelings, to give you, the same energy, all that stuff. That's just not their their thing. They're just not gonna do that, and they're not supposed to. They're not supposed to. I just think when it comes to like co-parenting, it really just needs to be a matter of, okay, listen, hey, I really want us to come to terms for little Gregory. Okay, little Gregory deserves better from us, and we have to be better for little Gregory. How can we be better for little Gregory? I don't know what I just did, but I hope I didn't embarrass myself too much. All right, this is what's gonna have to be because I think I pulled my lashes and it hurts. All right, so I'm going to curl these bad boys, and the beauty of co-parenting is just simply getting the feelings out the way. Please don't have sex with your person. Another reason why it gets so complicated is because you guys aren't trying to admit this, and I understand that you don't want to admit this, but I'm talking to you. That's the most important thing I'll ever say is like stop sleeping with them. Sleeping with them is causing you unnecessary drama. You are going to find yourself angry for no reason, and you're going to keep the feelings alive. Stop it. I understand once you get past that part, you will find it is a lot easier to deal with. But if you just keep backsliding to baby mama house and sleeping with him, you're gonna see yourself in a world of trouble. Like, it's unnecessary. All right, so I'm using Antique Velvet. Yes, I still wear MAC lipstick. And I was going to ombre this, but I decided not to. So, I don't know. I feel like this might be a little too much. So we're going to go over it with some Velvet Teddy. It's not going to ombre because I colored. Yeah. I want to just soften it a little bit. I think that helps. That helps a lot. So I set it with Fix Plus because I don't have any more setting spray. So this is why I set with. That's what we're gonna do today. I guess my thing to all of you would be to obviously, if you don't have children, please pick your partners wisely and understand that heartbreak changes people, but also understand that, like, if you are dealing with a man and he is not being his best self, or the way you're holding on to something, and you got to find that healing so that you guys can co-parent effectively. Because if you don't find that healing, you constantly trying to be vengeful and vindictive, all it does is just eventually it just hurts the kid, and it just hurts the kid, and it really is unnecessary. Like, like, the kid at the end of the day is the person that's getting hurt in all of this, not the guy. You're not hurting anybody but yourself and that kid, and you're causing yourself more stress. And these kids are not meant to be raised by one parent. They're meant to be raised by two. And in my mind, I feel like the only way we can get to someplace where they can be, effectively raised by two people is if you just make it easier on yourself by actually trying to work with that person. Like, figure out a solution or a system that works for the two of you so that you guys can co-parent effectively and live in harmony, like coexist. Because it just doesn't work if you're just constantly fighting each other for no reason. Honestly, I can attest to that. Like, it gets murky very quickly. So anyway, this is the finished look. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like this video and give it a thumbs up. And of course, please subscribe to my channel, hit the notifications bell. And of course, I will see you next week. Spread love. Bye-bye.